Before you look at all the seemingly terrible cards in this list and click off the video, I want to tell you that I'm currently 11-6 with this deck at Legend rank. So it wins games. I mean, I'm probably high rolling a little bit being 11-6, but the deck does win games. So the inspiration of the deck for me was trying to play Happy Ghoul in the early turns as an aggro deck. Priest uses Happy Ghoul particularly well because they can just use their hero power, and then this is effectively a 2-mana 3/3. But the catch with that is you have to actually heal yourself. So if you're at 30 on turn 2 and you hero power yourself, it doesn't count as being healed, so you can't play the Happy Ghoul for 0 mana that turn. And a lot of people are playing patches, so it's not terribly unlikely that you would be damaged on turn 2 to heal yourself. But we're taking it an extra step past that, and we're playing 2 copies of Emerald Reaver. Battlecry, deal 1 damage to each hero. So you damage yourself on turn 1, and then you hero power and play a 0 mana 3/3 on turn 2. And if you're really high rolling, you play Emerald Reaver on 1, hero power, and play 2 0 mana 3/3s on turn 2. And if you're really high rolling, you go Emerald Reaver, Coin Voodoo Doctor, double Happy Ghoul on turn 1. That's the nuts. That's probably not going to happen, but it could happen. Okay, so outside of that, what are we playing? We're playing Northshire Cleric because it's one of the best 1-drops in the game, and it's a particularly good recipient of the Shadow Ascendant buff. And Shadow Ascendant is another core card to this deck's strategy, because if you play a 1-drop and they don't have a good response for it, Shadow Ascendant itself can just snowball the game out of control. Other 2-drops include Galactic Crawler, because there are so many pirates on ladder. I think it's just correct to be playing Galactic Crawler in everything, because if you hit a South Sea Captain, oftentimes you just win the game off that play. And we're playing 2 copies of Radiant Elemental. The only spells in the deck are double Potion of Madness, double Power Word Shield, but 2 mana 2/5 with Power Word Shield is very strong. Potion of Madness is incredibly strong in this metagame. So even with only 4 spells, I do think this is pretty solid of a 2-drop. If you wanted to cut one of these 2-drops, I think I would cut a Radiant Elemental first. The Shadow Ascendant's just too core, and the Galactic Crawler is just too strong in this meta. But I like having all 6 of these. Up into the 3-drops, we got 2 copies of Cabal Talon Priest, just for more snowball. If you go Cleric into Shadow Ascendant into Cabal Talon Priest, that's actually an insanely strong aggro curve. Just the amount of stats you're putting on the board is actually nuts. We've also got 1 copy of Death Speaker. This is kind of a filler card, but it's similar to Cabal Talon Priest, in that you get to make a trade and you play a decently statted 3-drop. It's obviously worse than Cabal Talon Priest if you're just trying to slam stats and go face. It's got less attack than Cabal Talon Priest. But Cabal Talon Priest is overpowered enough that I would play a 3rd copy of it, or even a 3rd copy of a bad Cabal Talon Priest in this deck. I think it's one of the weaker cards in the list, though. And then we've got Double Keening Banshee. It's a 4 mana 5/5. And you might be thinking, oh no, this card mills cards from your deck, that's so bad. But it actually doesn't matter because you almost never go to Fatigue. And if you're not going to Fatigue, it's basically as if you just never drew those cards. I was a little skeptical at first that a 4 mana 5/5 was better than even say like a Priest of the Feast, just a 4 mana 3/6, even though we don't really care about the stats on the Priest of the Feast. But I've actually been pretty impressed by how well this 4 mana 5/5 stat line has been performing. It's pretty nice that this just beats people 2 harder than Priest of the Feast. We're also trying out a copy of Genzo the Shark. Haven't really gotten much use out of this guy yet, but sometimes you run out of cards with this deck, and if you run out of things that continue to snowball the board, you're definitely going to be in trouble. I don't think he's super important to the list though. And then we have 2 copies of Sunborn Val'kyr in the deck. This is a card that when I first saw it, I thought, wow, this is actually pretty strong and I wouldn't be terribly surprised if it saw play. But it was kind of hard to imagine a list where this was going to be one of the 30 best cards to put in it. But I think in an Aggro Priest deck that really thrives off of just buffing the health on your minions, with things like Cabal Talon Priest and the Shadow Ascendant, you've got Power Word Shields. This is just another thing that piles stats onto your minions, keeps them alive, and then you can keep smacking the opponent and taking value trades. It's a very Priest-feeling card. It's almost just like a bigger Cabal Talon Priest. Obviously worse if you only hit 1 thing, but if you can hit 2 things, it's pretty nuts. And then we've even got a copy of Darkscale Healer in the deck, because we tend to have several things on board, They tend to have a lot of health, so we take some value trades, drop a Dark Scale healer, heal them back up, and then the opponent just can't deal with it. It also triggers Northshire Cleric, it triggers Happy Ghoul because this does heal your face. So I think a copy of Dark Scale Healer actually makes a lot of sense. And then the big top end of the deck is Bone Mare, probably pretty self-explanatory. If you've played against Bone Mare, you know why it's good in this deck. And it's actually very easy to have just a random minion on the board on turn 7 in this deck because you're giving them so much health with Val'kyr, Healer, Cabal Talon Priest, kind of Death Speaker, Shadow Ascendant, Power Word Shield. We just have so many things in the deck that help us keep stats on board, and then all of those cards kind of feed off of each other to pour more stats into the board. I guess in some sense it's kind of like Murloc Paladin, where you just keep buffing your Murlocs, and then because your Murlocs are buffed, they stick around and you have more Murlocs to buff. Kind of interesting, didn't really think about that until right now. And then there's also a copy of Leroy Jenkins in the deck, because I felt like a lot of games I was getting very close to winning, but just couldn't quite do it. So throw in a Leroy, why not? Leroy also has some interesting synergies in this deck. On turn 8, you can just play Leroy, slam a Cabal Talon Priest on it, and then forget about the 1/1s. You can Leroy, give them a 1/1, and then play Potion of Madness on it to either clear both of the 1/1s, or trade the 1/1 into something else. Or you just drop Leroy and 5 mana deal 6 damage, get him. I can definitely admit that the deck looks super janky. There are maybe like 6 or 7 different cards in this list that I would never expect to see on ladder, but they kind of all end up working together, and I'm really happy that I found a spot to try out cards like Sunborn Val'kyr and Keening Banshee. As much as I enjoy the Emerald Reaver and the Voodoo Doctor in this list, I think there's probably some chance that those cards are not optimal. Maybe you'd rather be playing a couple Corsairs and a Patches. I had that plus a Firefly in the list originally. But since I made the change to Voodoo Doctors, the win rate has gone up, believe it or not. But yeah, 4 1-mana 2/1s, maybe not optimal. But 1-mana 2/1s are probably better in this deck than pretty much any other deck, because after you buff them up, they don't die to Maelstrom Portal or Hero Powers or whatever. Another thing to notice about this list is it's like dirt cheap. We play 6 rares, 2 Keening Banshees, 2 Happy Ghouls, 2 Galactic Crawlers. I wouldn't replace any of the rares. We have 2 legendaries in the list, Leroy and Genzo. I don't think either of those cards is core to the list. If you wanted to replace those, you could try out Cobalt Scalebane, Cobalt Songstealer, Bittertide Hydra, Defender of Argus. A card I didn't really think of until recently is Val'kyr Soul Priest. Soul Priest is just a pretty solid card on its own. It gives you something aggressive to do with your hero power, gives you a little bit of reach. But in this particular list, it also has Voodoo Doctor synergy. So that's something to watch out for. If I wanted to play this deck on a budget, I think I would try replacing Genzo and Leroy with Aucanize. And then if that didn't work out too well, I would probably go for Bittertide Hydras, or maybe like 1 Bittertide, 1 Argus. But if you did go for double Soul Priest, the deck would have, 8 rares and 22 commons? And I'm 11-6 with it at Legend rank. I've been very surprised at how well this deck has performed. But I've talked about this for way too long, so let's get into some games.
Versus Malfurion. My beloved children.
My dear Malfurion.
Yikes, we're gonna need a better hand to beat Jade Druid. Oh, the dream.
My greetings.
You will regret this.
Got him.
You will regret this.
Wow, he didn't kill my Emerald Reaver when he had the chance. The fool. Did we play Voodoo Doctor here? All of our mana next turn is committed to Genzo, and we probably want to make sure we have things on the board going into the Sunborn Val'kyr turn. But it looks like he might just want to swipe this turn anyway, in which case the Voodoo Doctor just dies. Could be a good card to add to the curve on 6. Sometimes he just doesn't have swipe though. Add the swipe.
Pick a card.
Well, Genzo is a 4 mana 5/4. Seems like it might be a few turns before we need its ability, but if he can do 5 damage, that's good enough for me. Okay, we get to land a Sunborn Val'kyr here. I guess he could have Wrath. What are you coining? Tar Creeper, that's fine. Could go Talon Priest Hero Power instead of Val'kyr. I don't think that's better though.
Will purify them all.
Golems are a girl's best friend.
Eye is rough.
You wish to live.
Let's get a card out of our Genzo here. Heal this guy to protect it from IA, and we get to draw another card.
Die as you
5 damage goes face every time. And I guess we will kill the 2/2 to protect our Genzo. Spreading Plague would be good here, but I think we can beat Spreading Plague with this board. Oh, is he just dead? Did we just get him? Okay, well. Emerald Reaver into Happy Ghoul, the dream, dude.
Tyrande versus Anduin. The light shall bring victory.
alone give me strength.
Alright, 2 mana 2/5. So keep the 2 mana 2/5. And ooh, we got our 1-drop. Okay, let's go. Although, oh man, we got the thing, but we probably don't even want to do it. 2/5 has to be better than a 3/3, right? I mean, the Happy Ghoul can bait like a Shadow Word Pain, maybe? Radiant Elemental and Shadow Ascendant both protect this from the Northshire Cleric. Let's just go for this play. Okay, well, we're not going to Potion of Madness that for 1 face damage. Could be pretty good next turn, though. Took the draw anyway.
You are the shadow's puppet.
Let's just go face, I think. This is kind of sketchy. But if he's spending 2 mana to heal here, then he's not spending it killing my dudes. Spirit Lash could be good. But even if it's Spirit Lash, he only gets to kill one of my dudes. I don't think it's a tragedy. Alright, so we're taking his Loot Hoarder. Dark Scale Healer. Let's just play our Banshee. Turn 4. There's no AoE that fully deals with this. Shadow or Death, fine. Have you ever seen a play this dank? Heal up our dudes. Heal our face so we can play a 0 mana 3/3. And we even nailed the buff on one of the 3-power minions, so we have 2 4/5s against a priest. Greater Healing Potion. So I've got 16 here. It actually kind of sucks that he had that, because now I'm probably getting Dragonfired next turn. So we're not going to play anything. Please buff. Yes, that was so good. Now we have a thing that survives Dragonfire Potion. Easy. Oh my god, he got smashed.
Tyrande versus Val'kyr.
Watch your back. Alone give me strength.
Wow, if he plays Swashbuckler on one, he gets wrecked. Probably keep Happy Ghoul, right? Just because of the power level of the card.
I'm in charge now.
Okay. I think we still coin out our 2/5 here. And then we're probably playing a 2-mana 3/3 next turn.
Truth is found in death.
Keleseth on 2. I predicted that because he's playing Keleseth in his deck, so of course he would have it on 2. So I'm making this trade and playing Shadow Ascendant here, I think. I'm wondering if I should burn the Potion of Madness just to kill this, just to protect my Shadow Ascendant from a hero power. I think if he hero powers next turn though, he's in trouble. I guess it's also good against Southsea Captain. I think this is a little bit questionable. But protecting a Shadow Ascendant is really important. This card can snowball like crazy. Probably don't want to willingly trade off our Shadow Ascendant here.
It's playtime.
Maybe I should have hit and healed this guy, actually. No, because if I healed this guy, I can't play the Happy Ghoul. Okay. I'm gonna play the Banshee here. Over the Genzo. I don't really need the cards right now, and Genzo dies on board, Banshee doesn't. Not that I think he would trade Dark Reaper and the 3/3 into it, but maybe he would.
Trust the pirate's code.
No pirates to go with it, please? Doesn't have mana to charge a deckhand. I've already seen patches, obviously. It's kinda rough. Okay. This should be a really good Sunborn Val'kyr. We could also go Cleric, Heal, Ascendant, but I think this has to be better. So this here, this here, this here, I guess? So 2, 1, 1 health. I mean, I guess we can make these trades first, it doesn't really matter. Help me visualize it better. Do we want to go in here or here? If we go in here, we have 2 1 healths, we buff here, these both have 3 health, he can trade this into whichever one he wants. We go in here. We have a 3 and a 2. We can trade this into either 2, but the Radiant Elemental's protected. Should probably just kill the bigger guy, I guess. And sometimes we end up crabbing this, but I'm sure he'll trade it off. Oh, we lost a couple pretty big cards there. That's a bummer. Instant face. How do you play around that? That's tilting.
Is someone in you are the shadow's puppet?
Well, we got a pretty good refuel here.
Behold the glory of a new sun.
And he had the backstab to go with it. Shadow Word Pain every time. No, no Shadow Word Pain. Okay, we still in it. It's a decent Potion of Madness. It lets us not put damage on our 2/5. And the 2/5 is our best minion, so that's good. Maybe Genzo will actually get to do a thing this game. Haven't had too many opportunities to play him. No Bone Mare, please. Yeah, this Genzo is a huge threat. If I could have gotten the cards out of that, it would have been really sick. Oh my god, what is this? Alright. That could have definitely gone worse. Dude, Darkscale Healer would be dope here. I guess I'll settle for a Bone Mare. So who do we want to buff? Probably this guy? Just to spread out the threats a bit.
Do my bidding.
We're gonna clear his board to play around Bone Mare. And also we get some of the health off this guy to play around Vile Spine Slayer.
Flames consume you.
That's kind of tough. I think we're still in a good spot, though. Oh, man. Leroy Shadow Step is one off. Oh no, it's actually not, because the Leroy's buffed by Keleseth. Maybe I should have thought about that more. I've seen at least one Shadow Step, I know. Maybe I've seen both.
I wonder.
I think we just want to play the crab, just for more damage. He has Leroy Shadow Step, I'm gonna be so tilted. Does he still have a Priest card in his hand? I don't really remember, honestly.
So many options.
Flames consume you.
That card in his hand needs to deal 1 damage. Potion of Madness. I don't know if that's a Priest card. Oh my god, we won. We beat the Dragonfire Potion. Oh man.